Welcome to the National Regenerative Agriculture Day 2021 and Sacred Regeneration. Welcome to the National Regenerative Agriculture Day 2021. We made it to our third year. I'm here with Helen McCosker and Mike McCosker, and we thought we'd jump on today and just give a very short sort of history of where NRAD started and why we came about and ended up doing this amazing movement, and discussing today just the history of NRAD. So welcome, McCoskers.
Hello. I just want to thank you, Kelly Jones, and I think we should all step away.
Oh, yep.
These beautiful backdrops. Part of the magic of what we're doing is actually the beautiful artwork that Kelly Jones always manages to pull out of a hat. Hey, Kelly Jones, at the last minute.
Well, this is a really amazing year because obviously this year our theme is sacred regeneration, and it's not a normal or usual year for the world. So this year, particularly with the National Regenerative Agriculture Day, our focus has been on change, on ancient wisdom, on unity, on truth, on bridging that co-creative spirit amongst the regenerative communities around the world, and far past just agriculture, I would say. This is a real celebration of the movement to heal and regenerate everything, our planet, our water, our food chain, our communities, our culture, our connections. So let's just discuss how NRAD began. Do you want to open up, Mike, with how we got involved with this movement to begin with in, what was it, 2017?
Yeah, when we started talking about at that time, we're coming into a pretty ordinary drought, which turned out to be a really bad drought in Australia. And we were talking about what's the best way to help communities stay connected, and we can't prepare for a drought right at the start of it. But we wanted to come out of the drought better than what we've gone into the drought. So that was actually about sharing some solutions so that when we come out of the drought, we could start to rebuild our soil, put the carbon back in the soil. And so that became, not enough people know about this. How can we change that? How can we grab people's attention? So the National Regenerative Agriculture Day was the idea. And we got a little bit cheeky and decided we'd hijack Valentine's Day because we wanted everybody to love their farmer. And that was the start of what is now our National Regenerative Agriculture Day.
I remember we were sitting around your kitchen table and we'd already kind of brought our energies together working within the community space and starting a charity called What Would Love Do Now. And I remember Helen coming in, we were sort of, the drought was a couple of months in. We hadn't really realized the full effect or how long this drought was going to go on for. But I remember you came rushing and said, I've just been to Ashford and I was at a shop and there was this jar raising money for the drought. Oh my God, we've got to do something. How can we help people with this drought? And that was sort of my first connection to what has become NRAD. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, I think $150 million of funding had been raised to support farmers, and the money was going to bio-bale and food packages for farmers. And, while that's really fantastic emergency relief, like, how to feed a fish, how to feed, what's that saying? Feed a fish. What's that saying?
Give a person a fish and feed them for a day, teach them how to fish and feed them for life. So,
Yeah, that's right.
Regen Ag, and we know within our own network, this amazing group of people that are doing tremendous stuff to regenerate the land. And we'd sort of come into that through community regeneration just with our own little Wollongrar community. And goodness me, after this last 12 months of social distancing, how important has connection to community become? So, that's how this year became, well, this is all about sacred connection, because when we're socially distanced in society, it is so much harder to keep the connections, and connection to community, connection to people, and connection to community is also the heart and soul of regenerative agriculture, which becomes connection to land. So we've put together a group of podcasts, which is just amazing. Helly, tell everybody what's ahead of us for today.
Yeah, so Kelly and I have been working pretty hard. It's been we've got some incredible speakers lined up. So we've got 5, what did we call them, Kel? I think we call them the Legends of Regen. We've got 5 awesome live podcasts, which are going to be streamed live on our Facebook page on Sunday, Valentine's Day. So we're definitely going to hijack Valentine's Day. And the lineup of our podcasts are worms, weeds, artists, trailblazers, and radicals. And they're all really special individuals, regenerative gurus, and basically we're going to have all of those lined up on Sunday. Shall we keep that all a secret? Or should we tell them?
Too late. Well, it's been interesting this year because we've had to adapt to obviously what's been happening in the world. And usually for the National Regenerative Agriculture Day, we have events all around Australia. So usually individuals and communities come together and put on these amazing events in their backyards or in their communities. And of course, that hasn't happened this year. So we've had to go with the vibe and work with our podcast to actually bring our community together and produce the content for you guys online. And I remember when we started this journey with the drought, I knew nothing about regenerative agriculture. I mean, I was the artist of the team. I'd moved from Melbourne to a little hobby farm next to Helen and Mike's out in the bush. And I remember the journey I've been on with Regen Ag. Like, it was literally like tearing the fog off my eyes and downloading a master's thesis on soil restoration and connecting the dots about how fixing the soil meant that we could hold water in our soil, and the difference in the capacity between 1% carbon in the soil and 8%. And it was such an amazing journey. And I know a lot of our audience are at the stage I was a few years ago of this being a brand new body of work. And for me, it was quite an amazing journey because, of course, being the artist of the team, I had to translate all of this content and information into a visually appealing story, I guess. And I remember sitting there on the couch in the balcony with you and Mike, and Mike explaining to me, this is what carbon is. This is how it works. And I'm like, what does it look like, Mike? How do I visually express this? And we...
It was so cool. It was so cool how we came up with the chocolate. That was such a great thing to do. So when we launched our first National Regen Ag Day event, which was at the farm in Byron Bay, we put together this really beautiful sort of an experiment with kids. And the experiment was that you go and buy, 4 or 5 different types of chocolate. You buy your really cheap, black and gold brand chocolate, the cheapest on the market. and then you buy your Cadbury's, and then, you know, then you buy your beautiful
90%.
70% cocoa. Yeah,
but no, and the fair trade. So then you basically get the chocolate and you mix it up, and then you close your eyes and you take a piece and you taste it in your mouth. So if you're feeling and tasting in your mouth, you're just like, ugh, I'm feeling a bit yuck, you know, that's really awful. To the fair trade one where it's like, oh my God, this has been, I can taste the regenerative farmer that is loving their farm as opposed to the slave trade chocolate, you know. So that was like the idea that, you know, the difference between 1% carbon in the soil and the beautiful 8% carbon in the soil. It was such a great experiment. It was really cool.
You could
So we
literally
found
taste
the
the
taste
carbon.
of regenerative ag. Kelly still had to sort out the look of regenerative ag, but
It was so complicated. Like, do you guys know how to illustrate carbon? When we started this journey, there was nothing. I'm talking like on the internet, there was so few visual representations of regenerative agriculture, what it looked like, what it felt like, how to illustrate the message so that it became, you know, this big, massive science book became like a 10-second meme. And it was such a challenge for me, like as an artist. And it's been a fantastic journey. I've done more work now. I would consider myself now a regenerative artist. And my allegiance is to like coloring in regeneration across the planet. So it's definitely changed the direction of my life, for certain.
luckily, you know, while the artistry and the message we sort of developed, luckily we had this network of people that have been out there doing it in the paddock for so long. And that's what we've been able to capture in the podcast series this year. It's, you know, some of these people are just so inspirational. They've been out there doing stuff and lobbying against the chemicals in agriculture that are doing so much harm, and advocating for the rebuilding of our soil and all the benefits that that gives us for, you know, the water cycle and our resistance to drought and even our resistance to flood comes into this process. And the most important thing of all is the quality of the food that we're then all eating ourselves. So that transposes to the health and vitality of our actual society. So, you know, this is no small movement here. This is about our ability to have a vibrant, healthy community at the same time that we've got a vibrant, healthy planet. And, you know, looking around at the moment, we could say that we've still got a bit of work to do. And, you know, that's why we look to these really inspiring people that have been out there doing this for 20 and 30 years, long before it became popular. These people have been rebuilding their farms, and that's what's so inspiring about the works that you'll see today.
Yeah, and also if we come back to our sacred ancestral wisdom, we go back further than that. We go back 50,000, 100,000 years. So, you know, this is all about how we can co-create all of us together, and all of us working together, our original people, our farmers, our foodies, our artists, celebrating what it is to be, you know, regenerative. You know, what are the things that we need to do? What are the things that we can all support? So welcome to National Regenerative Agriculture Day.
It's definitely, I was going to say, it's definitely the oldest underground movement in the world. It's definitely the largest underground movement in the world. And that's a perfect description of what regeneration is really, and specifically regenerative agriculture. This has been going on for a long time, and we're just going back to, we're basically skipping back to the time before industrial poison, really, before the poisons were introduced into our systems, our food, our water, our airways, our soil, our land, our cultures. So it's literally removing the toxicity.
I love this connection to sacred aspect of this, because it really opens up a discussion with our Indigenous wisdom. You know, we stand there, and myself as a regenerative farmer, and I go, I'm all happy because I've been repairing the land for the last 20 or 30 years. And our Indigenous elders sort of look at us and go, huh. Oh, well, you're finally starting to catch up on some of this knowledge.
Oh, we've lost Mike.
Would you like us to help?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and they're just like our big brothers and sisters that are standing there watching us grow up and go, oh, thank goodness that you're finally starting to look after your mother a bit better.
Absolutely. And this day for us became a day of, I guess, educational awareness. So we were pushing the awareness around Regen Ag, giving it a visual context. And then that for us personally gave birth to Carbon8, which I think we should include this discussion here, because Carbon8 led us into an actual platform that enabled us to raise the funds. And obviously this is an ongoing process. It's been a big ongoing process for the three of us to transition farmers to regenerative agriculture. So let's have just a little chat about Carbon8, guys. Tell us how that started from your perspective. I remember.
Well,
yeah,
me,
so I think
Carbon8 sort of was, well, surely there's something we can do to help farmers, which actually gives a real solution, and that's getting the carbon back in the soil. And an aspirational target for that is let's go for 8% carbon, and that's where Carbon8, the name, came from. And really that's just,
and maybe I could share the story.
Yeah,
Mike, maybe I could share the story, if I can interrupt, about Dr. Christine Jones, who said that back in the early 1800s they did the carbon sort of measurement, and it was sitting at around 18%. Our average carbon levels in Australia was sitting at 18%, and now they're less than 1% on average. So that 8% is an aspirational level, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. So
yeah, exactly. When really with 50,000 years of Indigenous management, the average was actually an average of 21% organic matter, which when we convert that to organic carbon, that's actually about 12%. So when we talk 8%, we're still well behind where the Indigenous wisdom had this land. So, people go 8%, goodness me, that's a high number. And we're going, actually, it's not that high and it can be done.
Yeah, 8% is the number of sustainability, isn't it? That's when we've got the land back to a sustainable level of carbon. And after that is when we're starting to literally thrive again in relationship to that landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
so Carbon8's really about sort of targeting helping farmers. The National Regen Ag Day was about just public awareness and letting everybody know, letting the consumers know that when you support regenerative farming, that's actually the greatest thing you can do for the environment, for the health of the environment and for the health of our society. And Carbon8 was the vehicle that said, okay, farmers, we want to move on to this pathway. Here's some help. Here's some information. Here's some mentors.
It's definitely been an incredible couple of years for us. We've put our heart and soul into this work. It's definitely been a work of love for the three of us. And I guess we're looking at the future of where NRAD, we hope NRAD can go as a movement, as a national day. And also to note, it did actually get acknowledged in Parliament last year as a formal and official national day. So that was a very exciting moment for us. So what are your hopes and dreams for NRAD moving into the future, guys?
Well, I'm particularly excited by our mascot being the platypus. The platypus is such a beautiful, mystical, one of our beautiful Australian animals, and it's very special. So I think that we're really excited to share this journey of the platypus. And in so doing, we really want to let everyone know that it's time for everyone to actually observe, be real observers. Go and see your local river, go and visit your creek, see what's going on around you to actually know what's happening, because that's the most important thing. That understanding is the thing that will open everyone's eyes as to what's really happening in our, as just connecting to our connecting to our planet, our Earth. So that's our mascot, and we're really hoping that idea of our beautiful platypus will really create a real spark in people's real love for our waterways.
Yeah, it was really interesting when we were talking about the platypus and realised that the platypus is a bit like the canary in the coal mine. It's the canary of our river systems, and if we're not careful, the platypus is going to fall off the perch. So we were looking for some way of really engaging the story and even bringing kids into a real love of our rivers, just to keep us adults honest in this whole appraisal. And what do you think a baby platypus is called? It's a puggle. So a puggle, I mean, Kelly Jones, you can do something with that, can't you?
Definitely. How very Harry Potter. It's a puggle. Actually, the idea of the platypus, that's literally taken us 3 years to get to. Like, we have not known what our official mascot was going to be. And it was really only in the last sort of 2 months that we sat down and that sort of channeled through, and we got a really strong focus on the platypus. And once we saw it, we were like, duh, like how have we not seen this before? It's such an incredibly unique animal and so significant to our whole ecostructure here in Australia, and our new focus on healing the waterways and our riverways is just so, I mean, that's the fundamental foundation of regenerative agriculture. We have to get those water cycles and protect our waters and see it as the most sacred act. So we're going to actually launch this year the Regenerators Club, the Regenerators Kids Club, which we will roll out hopefully as a national program in the schools and set it up similar to, the Girl Guides brownie system, where they have the patches when they do tasks and they sort of get sent a patch from us. So it's going to be really fun creating that program, and really exciting to actually have a significant impact in our schools with the kids. So yeah, we're going to do a lot of work with our waterways this year, and I think that's going to become a significantly main theme of NRAD moving into our future.
So if we ask the question, what can I do right now? I think the first thing is just share all of this information on social media through your groups. Just like it, comment, and then that just gets, in terms of the short term of just getting the awareness out there, that would be the best thing. And then, Mike, what's another thing that people could do?
Oh, I always go back to, when you're at the supermarket, choose organic or regenerative food. Make sure you know how that food's been grown, because that's the point that we're supporting either environmental destruction or environmental repair. Really important thing to do. Every day that we eat, we can make that choice.
Yeah, well, NRAD's, our very first sort of phrase was healing the heart of the food chain. Like, that was always our main focus, was how can we get the nutritional density back into our food? Because once we started looking at all of the impact of this whole movement, it was definitely back to our food's in trouble. Our nutritional levels are so low. They're as low as the carbon in the soil. And as a result, all the health issues that, our kids deal with and our population deal with, that is really significantly related back to the lack of nutrition in our food. So, I mean, coming into the future of NRAD, that's another big theme of ours, is how do we engage the foodies? How do we engage the producers? How do we engage the marketplace and the consumer to start changing their focus and to start to choose food from sources that are grown in regenerative, with regenerative principles behind it. So, and we've got some exciting things coming out with Carbon8 on that level, definitely focus on the certification process. Yep.
Yeah.
Stay tuned there. I won't throw any spoilers in here at the moment, but there's a couple of big things coming. And I just have to say, congratulations to all the regenerators out there that have tuned in here, and thanks for being interested, and thanks for caring, Have a great National Regenerative Agriculture Day.
Yes, and one thing that we would love everyone to do is go and heart your river. So this Valentine's Day, keep an eye on those podcasts and go out and tell your rivers how much you love them. Find out what it is to say thank you in your country. So it's Boogle Bear in our country. What's your country? How do you say thank you and say hashtag heart your river and we love you so much? So that's just one very simple thing that everyone can do.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. So it's just as simple to, I'm translating it as the artist here. It's just as simple as going to your local water source, river, pond, whatever it is that's near you, and maybe sticking your feet in and actually saying a prayer and connecting to that water source and actually like forming a relationship there again, because it's alive and it's an ancient consciousness and it's missed you. It's literally missed us. And that connection is more powerful than you could even know right now. So if we want to look at regenerating our sacred waterways, the first place to start is, going and actually connecting with it and saying, I love you and thank you. And, I love you. And that is going to send a tingle down the spine of our great waterways. So everyone, welcome to the National Regenerative Agriculture Day 2021. We made it through this crazy times of changing events on our planet. And we're looking forward to one of the most significant regenerative years ever in our history and a renaissance on planet Earth. So welcome, and we so are happy to connect with you, and we will speak to you in our next podcast, Miss McCosker.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. We're all hijacking.
Heart your
Have
farmer.
a great day. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the National Regenerative Agriculture Day 2021. And we are so excited to be having Indaya from Farmhand Organic Wines, and they have helped sponsor our day. And without you guys, we wouldn't have had any wine, basically. So thank you so much, Indaya, for coming onto our little podcast.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me. No, it's such a great initiative and something awesome to be a part of, and especially in this growing industry and awareness in regenerative agriculture across Australia.
So how did you connect with regenerative agriculture?
I guess I connected with regenerative agriculture through, my own personal endeavours and passion. I'm definitely someone who spends her weekend in the garden and was always looking for ways to minimise my impact on the land that I have, my space. In saying that, the land is not mine, it owns me 100%. So like looking into permaculture and kind of going down that road just as a personal journey, and then working with Farmhand Organic Wines and speaking to a space where we're trying to do the right thing with reducing pesticides, herbicides, but then also looking at how we treat the soil and the regeneration of that soil in order to provide the best fruits for the next year's vintage and so on. It became apparent that there is such a space for more of this regenerative conversation to evolve in the wine industry. So finding you guys and something where we could connect and share that awareness and grow that education in especially the farming space, but also the wine industry, where it's essentially farming that produces this beautiful thing that over 70% of Australians enjoy.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Indaya. Just on behalf of the National Regenerative Agriculture Day and all of our team and all of the people that, are supported by amazing groups and partners, impact partners like you, we are humbly, thank you so much for being involved.
Oh no, thank you for having us on board, and I look forward to a fruitful wine-filled future with you guys.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing the whole wine industry actually move over to this regenerative organic space and really start to take this, this toxic poison out of our food chain. So it's a really exciting time on planet Earth, watching that transformation in our food and wine industries.
Yes, there's no greater intelligence than Mother Nature herself, and I do believe that there is a transition happening, and especially with these younger generations moving in, it's the integration of new technology with the old traditions and finding a way that you can actually remove 80% of the variables and go back to basics and still produce phenomenal wines.
So very quickly, so what are your predictions for the wine industry coming into the future of planet Earth?
Personally, I see wine stepping back into sacred practice. I believe I've spoken about that before. I think there's something missing in the interfacing of wine, but in general, definitely moving into organics, low to no preservative, and those kind of different alternatives, like just minimal intervention. Get your hands away from it. Take your stirring pots out. You don't need so many processes involved. Just step back, let it happen, and see what is created. The oldest wine bottle and wine, I guess you could say preserved, that they found was 8,000 years old. So like, it's been done for a very long time, and I can guarantee back then they didn't have our standard of fermentation tanks and whatnot. So yeah, get out of nature's way, and I'm sure that she will provide. She always does.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. It works on every level, doesn't it? Whether it's, regenerative agriculture or production of wine or the way that we work in our communities, all of that. It's just so beautiful. It's, that whole focus on sacred regeneration, which is our thing this year, is just such a beautiful, what a beautiful discussion. So thank you, Indea, for your contribution.
More than welcome, and good luck and enjoy. And I'm sure we'll be discussing things over wine soon.
Lovely. Thank you.
And so everyone, get out and support Farm Hands Organic Wine. They're one of the first wines on the market here in Australia that's really moving towards publicly a regenerative space. So as one of our main sponsors, we thank you so much, but also we publicly support all of your endeavours from here on into the future. So Indea, thank you so much, and thank you, Farm Hands Organic Wine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nikala.
And I'm Darren.
And we're from Nutrisoil. We are part of a team whose purpose is to empower farmers to produce life-enriching food. Here at Nutrisoil, we produce a unique worm liquid which farmers use to coat their seed, in furrow and as a foliar application. This in turn increases the light capture of plants and the abundance and diversity of life in the soil. Food grown in this system has higher nutrient integrity, uses less fertiliser and has a less chemical load, which is healthy for humans and the earth.
We're thrilled to be silver sponsors of the National Regenerative Agriculture Day, celebrating sacred regeneration of the earth.